Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Guest List podcast show. I'm your host, Steve Guest, and I am genuinely really excited to get to know and chat to today's guest. As some of you will know, this podcast has been born out of Top Bill of the Life of a Recruiter, the book that was written and published in 2019. And off the back of that, it's started a journey where I get to speak to lots of inspirational engaging and empowering individuals that have been through journeys themselves. And I look to share this with you, the listeners. Every guest that I speak to has been nominated, referred, or passed to me as someone that they would like to listen to. And this person is certainly one of those individuals. So without further ado, I'm going to run through this person's bio and then welcome them onto the show. Today's guest is a native to the beautiful city of Pueblo in Colorado, currently owning the Snooze Mattress Company, the largest snap fitness in the world, WakeUp Marketing, which is 30’s company with Grant Cardone, and he's a commercial and residential real estate investor and developer. Started, built, and sold 10 businesses across completely different industries, which are all still thriving within the community. This person has a love and passion for business and developing Pueblo. Currently an elected official for the Pueblo West Metropolitan District and served as a board member of the Pueblo West Chamber of Commerce for the last 7 years. Also serves on the board for Pueblo United Way, where he was the previous board chair and his current United Way mentor. Board for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, married to wife Jenny, 3 wonderful children, Parker, Preston and Paisley. Live for their family, and they are certainly this person's why. This guest today, big Pueblo fan, is very passionate about the growth he has seen and the general anticipation of what is to come. Recently, a best-selling author across USA Today, Amazon and Wall Street Journal with his book, Serial Dadpreneur. So I'd like to welcome Matt Smith.
Thank you. This is awesome. I appreciate you having me, Steve. This is it's an honor. Thanks for having me today.
No, I'm really excited, and there's a few tongue-twisting bits within that bio, so I kind of got all the way through.
I'm not even sure if I wrote that. I think somebody put that together for something. I don't know where that came from, but that's that's what you get. Sorry.
Well, I hope it's all accurate and it's all there.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty accurate.
The biggest thing for me that stood out there, and one of the areas that I really want to start with, and it's close to my thoughts as well, is your motivations for everything you do. What makes you get up every morning and kind of skip into work to achieve what you do, and that is your family. I mean, how does that work? What is the end goal? Where does it drive you to?
It's a great question, and and I kind of wrote a book about this, but it's truly like I was in this. I think just a perfect storm where I had, a single mother of 2 little kids. Father left when I was born. We've since built a really nice relationship. So, but like he left, and my mom struggled for money, So but she was with what she lacked in money, she made up for in love and everything else that we did in life. So I didn't know any different. But I think from just an early age, I watched the love and commitment that she had for us, and it was something I always wanted to do. And then we talked a little bit before the show. Until you hold your first baby, you can't even describe it. But the minute you hold your first kid, everything that is gone, and it starts all over again. And it is just the best blessing on the planet. And everything I do from every early morning I wake up to every late night that I do is for those kids to have a better future. And to see the world and to have a freedom that I didn't necessarily had, but still maintaining being there 100%, because I didn't have that as a kid. So I definitely probably make up for it 10x that, because I make sure that at every game and every catch and every coaching event, anything I can be at, I'm there 100% of the time. But I just make up for it earlier hours or later nights or whatever I have to be around my children. But they are my children, my wife. I am blessed to marry my soulmate. Many people can't say that. I truly, truly married the woman of my dreams, and I had 3 beautiful children with her. And that's why I do what I do. And if I lost everything else in the world, that would be okay. Those are what matters to me, and that is definitely the why.
And I completely echo them sentiments. I think Me and my wife, we've been together 21 years this year.
Oh, wow.
Two beautiful kids. And I just think, as you say, once you've held your first child, nothing compares to it. And I think it's that accountability and that responsibility to know that what you're doing is for something and not just for yourself.
For sure.
I think it makes a huge difference.
You're absolutely right. Like if you were selfish before, like that's not possible anymore. Like you live for somebody else, you know what I mean? Your whole life changes and it's not about you anymore. And again, I mean, I could tell you a million different things that changed in my life on that day, but so many different things, from getting up early to make sure I get things done, to start running every day, to running my first marathon, to making sure my heart beats around for my kids, to just everything, eating right, like thinking differently. You're just, your whole mentality is different because you want to be there. You want to throw that football and walk him down the aisle someday, and just everything you think of is, priorities are totally different.
Yeah, they are. Would you say, I mean, prior to children and family, have you always been a kind of an action taker, someone that would go out there to achieve things? Has that always been part of your kind of genetic makeup?
100%. Yeah, I've always been that freak of nature that, like, I just truly, like, I remember selling bubble gum in my lockers as a child, and I would like go to Sam's Club and spend my $10 and then turn it into $20. And I was like, oh, wow, these people are lining up in my locker to buy individual packs of gum that I was buying in bulk. You know what I mean? And it was like, okay, there's a thing here, you know, and I'm mowing lawns on the weekends and nights and always trying to figure out how to make a dollar. And you know, that's been my story ever since, is like, and then I worked for somebody for a while, and my goal was always like, by the time my kids are old enough to know any different, that I will have all the time and energy they need, and I will be able to have the most flexible schedule, and I'll work for myself. And you know, it's been an absolute blessing. But yes, I've always been very driven to try to win at whatever's going on.
Where do you think that comes from? Because I'm surrounded by salespeople throughout most of my life, and you'll get people that stand out from the crowd. You'll get those high achievers, those higher performers, the ones that are willing to work those extra hours.
Absolutely.
And it's not necessarily something that people naturally have a willingness to do.
Right. It's a beautiful question. And I think if I could figure that out, because I'm in the same boat, there's so many people in my systems now that I'm just like, if I could just get a little motivation, you know, because the talent pool is there, but they just can't get that extra motivation to get them to the next level. And I know where mine comes from, is just knowing that I wanted something different for myself and my children that I didn't have. Like that, I never saw a vacation. I never was able to do anything. You know, I saw my mom give a homeless guy food, and then our power got shut off at our house. So I remember all these things, distinct memories, that I'm like, I don't want that. And I'm going to work whatever I have to do to not have that. And then I think it turned into competition. So I know mine, but I'm with you. Like, you know, I'm blessed to have a lot of different people that we work with in a lot of different environments, but that is always you can't teach somebody in their 30s how to be motivated. It's too late. You know what I mean?
But yeah, it is like the golden question. I mean, I'm from a very similar upbringing by the sounds of things. I remember my mum, I'm one of 6 children, and there's like an older 3 and a younger 3. My mum used to pay for us to get on the bus to go to school, and then she would get on her bike behind the bus, cycle behind it, wait for us to get off at school, and then walk us in. And that was because she could save the bus fare for herself and use it somewhere else. And I think they're heartwarming stories, but you listen to it and you think something from a very early age sets a precedence for later on in life, where you just think, do you know what? I've been at a place where perhaps I wouldn't want to go back to, or I wouldn't want to be the person on the bike behind the bus. I want to be in front of the bus driving what I want to drive.
Absolutely. No,
absolutely. I think that's the driver. Okay.
And you look at the opposite of that is that second generational entrepreneur. Like, it's a different person. You know, the second and third generations of entrepreneurs, the success factor is very minimal because they've been handed it. They didn't work for it. You know what I mean? They didn't do what you and I have had to do and grind and figure out how to make it work and get kicked in the teeth and fall on your face. It's a different outcome a lot of the times, you know? So
Do you know what though? I love the journey. I haven't always been the way I am now. Don't get me wrong. And I've failed a number of times, and I'm willing to take things head on to achieve what I want to set out to achieve. And I would perhaps rather put myself in the risk element of failure so I can teach my children, or I did it this way and this is probably what works, or put them down different routes because I'm willing to put myself out there. And I think having that thought process and the ability to do things that make you feel uncomfortable makes it a much rewarding journey. I had a conversation yesterday. So very small, I've decided to take, in the UK, we have GCSEs, which is like a qualification at the age of 16. So 3 or 4 years worth of secondary school study. So I've just booked in to do my Spanish GCSE in August next year, 20 years after I left school. And it scares the bejesus out of me, but I want to be able to speak Spanish.
Good for you.
And I just think you've just got to go and do stuff that scares you. And the journey becomes actually far more rewarding. Amen. But a lot of people won't do it.
Amen. No, it's so true. Yeah, I love it. And I was just going to say, I got my captain's license a couple of years ago, and I was in the same boat. Like, I wanted to drive this boat, and I got it with my best friend on the planet, who's a lawyer, who's the smartest man ever. And testing, it becomes very easy to him. And I'm like ADHD, ADD. I can't retain anything. I'm all over the place. So it's like, I'm trying to do the same test as he's doing. And I'm like, I've got this, but it got me out of my comfort zone. And I finally passed the test after 10 days, you know what I mean, of being out there. But it was one of those things that I'm like, this makes me uncomfortable. Let's run that direction. Let's figure this out 100%. And
that's it, isn't it? And I think you've got to put yourself in situations where it's uncomfortable to actually progress. You've got to take risks to move forward. So talk to me about the fact that you've built and sold 10 businesses. I mean, most people go through their lives and don't sell one business, never mind 10. What's the story there?
It's really like, it's crazy because it was very organic. Like it turned into like, I remember like the first business was, a Snap Fitness. So I bought into a franchise after the real estate. And I was into real estate pretty heavily, fixing and flipping and learning that side of the world in my early 20s. And then when the market crashed in 2007, 2008, I was like, okay, so I ended up buying into Snap Fitness, a franchise. And then that light bulb just kind of was like, all right. And then I at one point I needed a carpet cleaning, and everybody was like 2 weeks out on carpet cleaning. And I was like, I'm going to open a carpet cleaning business. So then I bought a van and opened a carpet cleaning business. And then like I bought a bus when I was partying in my days and turned that into a school bus. And then we turned into a party bus. And next thing I'm renting this out every weekend. It's like a limousine service. And, spa, a tuxedo business that was not going to make it in our community, but it was around for 50 years, and ended up buying that, flipping and turning that into a successful business and selling that. And I think it just became this challenge of new different industries that I always I was learning, but then I almost learned that there was such a common with all of them. They're the same thing. You know what I mean? It's people, it's finding good people, it's systems. And I don't care what the business is, you can make it work if you fall on your face a couple of times and keep being able to change and adapt. And currently we've got 3 main businesses and maybe 4 if you count real estate, but that's it. I'm running as fast and hard as I can with these. And I've also learned that I think at one point I owned 7 businesses or 6 businesses at the same time, and there was just too much. Like I can't be successful. I was good at 7 things, but I wanted to be great at a few things. And so I sold some stuff off and said, okay, let's put all my energy into this. And now mattresses and Snooze, and obviously WakeUp and the marketing side of it, because that all works hand in hand. And then the Snooze bed to box we're about to launch. So just very organically bought into crazy, totally different businesses. And I've always been like, all right, let's go. Let's figure that one out now. So, and they've all sold. They're all over.
The element that I pick out there, you say it's organic and it's kind of just flowed and you've gone with the process. But actually what the point is that I pick out of that is its opportunity and the willingness to spot the opportunity. Because 99% of people would walk by and not think twice.
For sure.
You've walked by and thought, actually, I can do something with that. I can add value. I can make a change.
Yeah, no, that's beautifully said. And I think 2 things there. I mean, one, like in my book, I talk about positivity is a muscle, but I also think like entrepreneurship is some kind of a muscle. And after you do it so much, like anybody remembers the first time they took that leap and how scary it was. It's like buying your first house or anything like that. You're like, oh my God. But then after it works, you're like, that wasn't that bad. I want to do that again. And just like you're talking about earlier, doing the things that scare you. But truly being an entrepreneur is the same thing. Now at this point, like that fear muscle is completely gone. I figure out the logistics and I just run every direction to know. So you're absolutely right. Like it takes some time. But yeah, people walk by the opportunity. I think they say that, like, what is it? 98% of people have that idea, but they don't act on it. And everybody's got an entrepreneur in them. They're nervous at the jump.
It's crazy though, isn't it? One of my biggest lessons, and where perhaps my journey changed, was I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, obviously very well known individual. Absolutely. It's a defining book for many people. And I always remember there was a comment, whether it was in the book or it's come afterwards, was he wanted to buy the sports car. And he was surrounded by comments where you'd never be able to afford it, you can't afford it. And you immediately shut down the opportunity because your instant thought is, that's way out of my league, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But actually the real question you should be asking is, how can I afford it? How can I get there? How do I get that?
Absolutely.
And whilst that's a specific kind of subject to think about, actually, if you think from an entrepreneurial perspective, it's how do I make that work? Where's the opportunity? How do I move from here to here? And I've had to teach myself that sort of thought process. It's like Tony Robbins, ask better questions. Ask better
Absolutely.
Questions, get better answers.
100%.
And I don't think any of us are born necessarily with that ability. It's a way of thinking, and it's a way of, I suppose, being.
Absolutely. And it's just building that muscle. I couldn't agree more. And it's funny because you think about that as a dad now. And, one thing that sticks out when you say that is, like, Steve, like Tony Robbins, I remember reading one of his books, and he talks about the mom walking up to the other mom and having two kids on her shoulder. And the one kid runs up to the other person, goes, "Hey, how you doing?" And then the other kid just grabs onto her leg. And the mom instantly goes, "That's my shy daughter." And Tony's like, if you tell that daughter that she's the shy daughter for the rest of her life, what do you think's going to happen? She's going to become the shy daughter. But if you tell them that, no, she's not shy, she's just getting out of her comfort zone, give her just a second. That gives that mentality at a young age to that kid to say, I'm not shy, I'm getting this. You know what I mean? But we brainwash ourselves that, hey, I can't take that risk. We brainwash our children sometimes that, hey, no, we're not good at that, or you can't do that, or whatever it may be. But somehow we're all born perfect. And it's like that evolution of parenting and our surroundings and that circle of five, the pushing people or the pulling people.
It's so true, isn't it? I was always taught as a child that there's no such word as can't.
Yeah.
Because if you always think can't, you will never achieve things. And again, it's training your thought process to do and believe that you can achieve it, whatever that might be. Okay, so in terms of your journey and the process to get to where you've got to, we all have people that inspire, motivate, and I suppose push us to higher levels. Who are the people around you that have really got you to where you are today? Have you kind of surrounded yourself? This can be literary, it could be people that you follow, it could be books, it could just be general people around you that have motivated you.
100%. My mom is my hero. My mom passed away, unfortunately, 15 years ago. And she has always been my motivation since a child. She was always my best friend. My wife is 100% my best friend, and she's there involved in everything. And she's my support group. She's never told me that that's a bad idea. She lets me run and do stupid things and just stands by the side and smiles and says, "You got this, babe." And my wife is 100. I couldn't do what I do. And I see that challenge with other people. Sometimes if they don't have that support, it's really hard because you're pulling on this stuff. And I definitely have that. Somebody that's new into my life is Grant Cardone. Just an absolute inspiration. I follow him pretty heavily nowadays, and we talk pretty often, but just such a beautiful force of nature and a family man, and a big inspiration to me. Tony Robbins, Kiyosaki, like you said. I like to read books daily when I run, and then I also have four coaches in my life that coach me and tell me that I'm an idiot. So I have a lot of inspiration to help motivate me and help keep me going the right way. And I'm always trying to get better, and I always have people in my life to say, no, this way or that way, or why not this, or whatever it is. So I'm a big believer in having the right people surrounding you. So, in a nutshell, that's it. My kids, obviously, they inspire me and motivate me every day. They are why we do what we do.
You've got to surround yourself, and I think again that's a big lesson for me on the basis that I'm a bit of a control freak, and I've always kind of held things close. And I think the moment you start to allow other people in that can add value, actually the journey becomes more exciting. It gets you there faster. You get to bounce ideas, good and bad ones, and the support there to lift you to levels that you didn't think were possible.
Yeah, no, it's funny because so one thing that I just got out of a meeting, but every single day here at WakeUp, we have a team of 30-ish people here this morning, and at 9:05 we get a giant circle and we start screaming success stories, goals, what happened for our customers. Like it's a motivating, exciting, energetic meeting, but that gets us started, and that pushes us all with that surrounding for the day. That starts every day, Monday through Friday. You're always welcome if you're in the United States, but I got this from Grant Cardone and his team. He has about 150 people every morning at 9:05, and they just circle around, and it's 5 minutes, but it gets you going for the day. You know what I mean? It gets in the blood, and you're talking all positives, and you go. So yeah, for sure. Right people, right energy.
Yeah.
And you can pick that. We're blessed to be able to pick that right energy here.
So talk to me about Grant. You've obviously spent a lot of time with him, and he's high octane. He's above most people's energy levels that they could even dream of. And I'm only talking from somebody that's just watched. I've never sat in a room with him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can tell you the guy doesn't just talk the talk. I mean, he walks the walk. I met him, very organically through a show, Undercover Billionaire, where they dropped him off in my neck of the woods and said, hey, go figure your life out. So I didn't know him as this giant guy on the stage motivating and inspiring. I knew him as a guy that came in and said, let me prove to you what I can do for you. Let me prove to you what I got. Let me learn a little bit more about you and build relationships all over this community in a very short period of time. So yeah, I mean, I can't brag enough about the guy. I can't brag enough about how he is to his family, how he treats his people. He's just a good man. He really is but he's a force. I thought I ran fast, and I do. I don't stop. My team tells me, okay, there he goes again. He's got this idea. Here we go. Like everybody here is always like, but when I was around Grant, I was like, oh shit, this guy's another level too. Like, he really is. He was fun to keep up with at the Snooze Mattress sales. We were pushing mattresses all over the place and standing outside and stopping cars and jumping in front of cars, and just all this stuff. But he does whatever it takes to win. And at that point, it was guerrilla marketing. As we got into partnerships together on WakeUp, where I'm in this building right now, he's on it. Like he doesn't stop, and he's understands the power of influence and people and money and yeah, he's a force to be reckoned with for sure. I think he's the best in the industry at what he does.
Oh, I think that's without question, isn't it? I think so. I've watched the video where you're interviewing Grant about the Undercover Billionaire. I've listened to that, and it's really insightful. But what I want to understand is why did Grant choose you? What sets you as an individual, and what your journey's been aside from perhaps anyone else he could have worked with?
It's a great question. I asked him that a couple of times because I really wanted to know, but I think ultimately he understands the power of relationships and leveraging the relationships. He came to this community, and kind of like we've talked, Steve, in this meeting, is like, I've owned a lot of businesses in this community, and I've spent 40 years of my life building a great reputation and taking care of people and doing what I can to help this community. And so I hope to think that when he got here, he went to several different people, and that's what I was told. And they all were like, if you want to do a business, you need to talk to Matt. So he was sent my way. Ryan Zabukovic sent him my way and said, hey, Matt's the guy for businesses. I heard from the Discovery Channel, there was a few people that said the same thing. So, I think it was good karma, just caring about this community and loving everything about people and what we do. And I don't know. I mean, but that's what he was looking to leverage people, and he's so good at people and finding, okay, who's the guy I need to talk to? Who's the people in this community I need to be friends with to win at what I'm trying to do right now? And that's a big lesson that I've even taken out of the show is like, I didn't realize, like, I was live when you guys were live. So I didn't see the behind the scenes until the show is out. So I was like, oh, wow, I didn't even realize he was doing that behind the scenes. I didn't realize he did that, and that. And he already built these relationships before he came to me, and that this was his plan. And he's very strategy. very
Yeah.
strategic business. So yeah. So
What I gleaned from it. So obviously you are very well connected in Pueblo. People know who you are. But what came from the conversation for me was that yes, it's about relationships, it's about the individuals, but a lot of it came from the fact that you're a good person, you're honourable, you do things with good intent, you build strong, honest relationships, you're ethical, you're trustworthy, and all of these elements are so important with any relationship. And the ability for him to put trust in you and you to put trust in him to make something work.
For sure.
And
No, yeah,
that's what I gleaned. And that,
yeah, I appreciate that. And I think that the feeling was mutual, because I'm the same boat. And this where random guy comes into my place, I'm like, yeah, what are you doing here? And you could see that in the first episode. I'm like, tell me more. There's cameras everywhere. There's stuff. And I'm like, there's more to this story. But as I got to know him, I'm like, okay, this guy's special. Like, he cares about his family. He wants to make a difference. There's a lot more to him than this grind. And that's what turned me on to him, to say, okay, let's figure this out together. Like, this is a good man. Let's go.
There was a part that really struck a chord with me, and it was, you mentioned that you'd be sitting in a meeting, and he would sit there thinking, I don't need to be in this meeting, or I've got something else I've got to do, and he would just leave. And you were sat there thinking, how rude. He's just got up and left.
Yeah.
That would be me. I would think, I'm not talking to him. I'm not taking him to any more meetings, because how rude.
Exactly,
you can't just get up.
And we got in some arguments, and the Discovery Channel didn't play that argument, so we butted heads on that, because I would be outside screaming. I'm like, dude, you can't, that is disrespectful. And he's like, they're not buying, we're leaving. And I'm like, no, that's not how this works, man. This is a long-term relationship. You don't just go, this is what I've spent my life building. And but that's who he is. Like, he's got a mission, and his mission is so focused that and he's told me that several times. He's like, man, I'm 62 years old. Like, I don't have time to waste anymore. My time is limited. And if I feel like it's not worth my time, I walk out of a meeting. And I'm like, I respect that. I do respect that. I don't think I can ever do that, but I respect it. You know what I mean? I'm also, I can cut it short, and like, we can see where it's going and try to get out of a meeting, but to walk out of a meeting, man.
Yeah, I would be with you there. And I think, I read a lot about wealth management. I follow really influential people like yourself. And one of the biggest things they talk about always is time. The valuation on time is above everything else. And if they can outsource, delegate, and get other people to do things that free up their time to do something that's worth more, they would do it every time. And that's taken a while for me to get used to, because I like to control things, and I always feel like I need to own it.
Amen.
But yeah, I mean, that story there, it just made me smile, because I'm sat there thinking I would probably, they'd be off the Christmas list if they got up and walked out of a meeting.
For sure. Yeah, and he always doubles down. The other thing I love about Grant Cardone is the guy never, like, if I call him out on that, even if he thought he was in the wrong, he fights his right. This is why I do it. This is what I did, and this is why, and I will do it again, Matt. Offended or not, I'll do it again. Like, I respect the grind. You know, the guy doubles down on everything. Every decision he makes, you can't deter him from that decision. It is what it is. He is who he is, and I kind of envy that a little bit, you know. Kind of love that.
Yeah. So what impact has he had on you? How have you changed, or how has it influenced you to do things differently?
Oh, I mean, 100%. Like, you know, I've always been a grinder, and I've always been but just a different level of who he is, and not even just in person, but on social media, and so many different things that I've been able to learn from him, how to scale the business and how to work smarter, not harder. And not, you know, the old school way of doing business. And I probably did it a lot, was very walking into doors, talking to people, figuring out what's next. And now it's like, there's so much more ways to do that on the internet, that's the way of the future. And how do you do that? So from a business standpoint, I've learned so much to really scale our own business. I mean, half of these franchises, half of the people I've had conversations with, so many different things we've been able to leverage is because of what I've learned from him, and really been able to implement that, and because of some of the, you know, the Discovery Channel. But as a human though, too, just the love he's got for his family. You know, he definitely, he cares on both sides. So he pushes his people to another level to make sure that they all succeed. And there's a lot to be said for that. You know what I mean? So I mean, I could brag about the guy and all the stuff I've learned for another half an hour if you want me to, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely changed the world that I'm in and everybody around me. 100%. And, and it's still awkward to walk to any airport and somebody goes, "Hey, undercover billionaire, can I get a selfie?" Like it's still an awkward life that I'm in right now, that it's just everywhere I go, somebody recognizes, "Hey, we're that guy, the Grant Cardone guy." And I'm like, yeah,
But that's amazing. That's amazing, isn't it? And you need to embrace it, because it's part of who you are now.
It is. It's a blessing for sure.
Yeah, and I think that. And okay, so we talked a little bit off air before started recording this, and WakeUp Marketing. So social media marketing, it's taking the power to utilize social media platforms for businesses. Is that correct? That's what you do. You take it away and manage that as a process.
Yes. Yeah. So as Grant would say, we do things you can't do, you don't want to do, and you don't know how to do. And it's doing it right. So essentially it's helping in my eyes. And I was a prime example, like trying to stop my day and say, "Oh, I got to update my LinkedIn," or "Oh, I got to do my Facebook," and that's the only way any of these platforms work, is to continue to do it always and often, omnipresence on every platform all the time until they continue to grow. The minute you stop doing them, it dies off and the algorithms don't favor you anymore. So business owners don't have time to do that. And storytelling, that's what we do best. So we take that ownership off of all businesses. We go into the businesses, brag about them, teach, things that they won't even say about themselves. So we find it out, and we just let you work on the business, not in it. You do what you need to do on the top, and we'll do all the stuff inside.
It's integral as well, isn't it? And I think this current day and age, so many businesses just don't utilize it. I've been trying to get recruitment consultants, certainly in the UK, to think about their personal branding and start promoting who they are as individuals via social media. So few do it. I think the stat on LinkedIn is 1% of LinkedIn users, which is about 720 million people. Only 1% actually post.
Really?
Which is a ridiculous stat.
But it makes sense. I mean, that is a crazy stat, but and LinkedIn is one of those ones that I didn't even really understand LinkedIn until I met Grant Cardone, and now it's probably one of my most powerful things I have.
Yeah. LinkedIn is my go-to place, and I've grown it. I joined LinkedIn in 2008, I think.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I mean, my network is about 30,000 actually. It's a decent size.
Yeah, that's
but
huge.
it's been over a longer period, and there's people join now that far out surpass 30,000 in the network far quicker, because there's better understanding. But actually, the growth of the network, the power of social media, everybody should be embracing, and people just don't get it.
Right. And that's one thing we try to teach people. So if anybody out there is listening and they're like, "How do I even start?" Like, just get your cell phone out and record a couple times. It's uncomfortable. Nobody likes to put themselves out there. It's the hardest thing you do. But like, I remember the first video I made at Snap, and I made something and I posted it, and I was like, "Don't watch it. Don't listen to it. I'm going to put it away." But then all of a sudden we sold memberships because of it. People came in and they were like, "I saw your video. That's cool. We have a sale going on today," or whatever it is. I'm like, "Wait up, that worked?" that aha moment, So it's like, you got to get through that uncomfortable, but just put yourself out there. You don't even have to watch it afterwards. Post it, take a couple videos till you like one, put it out there, walk away, and learn. You'll see that stuff really gains some momentum and traction out there for sure.
It's so true, isn't it? It's just getting over that hurdle again, and it reverts back to where we said it's just about taking action and doing something that gets you over that hurdle. It's so important. Okay, so in terms of where you're heading now, what's the plan? Where's the focus? You've updated your Instagram. We talked off air about franchising the mattress company. What's the plan there? What's happening?
Yeah. So, I feel like the last 20 years of my life have been set up for the next 90 days in my life. And I truly am just at this unreal, surreal point of life right now. But we're the Snooze Mattress. I've been in the mattress business for 20 years. So we've really created a franchise that's going to change the industry and really help the industry think differently and make some great money for entrepreneurs out there. So I'm really excited about that. And we just sold 5 franchises to Phoenix, Arizona. So a really cool territory. We should have one in Miami and Texas, Albuquerque. We got a lot of moving parts right now that we've sold. So that's just a really exciting time, because my favorite part is we're creating entrepreneurs out there. We're teaching people systems that really help them make money, and that'll affect their children and their children's children and their livelihood and stuff. So we've really worked our tail feathers off to get the right system to be proud of, to make sure that it's going to be a win for everybody out there. So that's been a big win in our book. You know, I've got a bed in a box that we're launching, the Snooze Sleep, or the Snooze Flip mattress. It is a unique mattress to the industry, but it'll be a direct consumer, kind of like your Purple and your Casper and your Nectar. But it's a lot more unique than all of the ones out there. So it's going to change the game. We're going to launch that in a Kickstarter in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks. We'll be launching that. And I'm really proud of that product. I'm really excited of where that's going to go. So there's that. And then WakeUp, you know, we're taking on nationwide clients right now. So we've had some fun with this marketing and the storytelling. So a couple books coming out. I just wrote a children's book called Make It a Great Day. Got a couple books about my story with Grant Cardone and what I learned and all that stuff. I got a, you know, 5.5 million in 42 days, and how we did it is kind of that book. So I got a lot of other things I'm writing and trying to push out there. So just a lot of moving things, but you know, mattresses is what I'm really excited about. The mattress side of the world. It's what I know, and it's what we're excited, really pushing a lot of efforts towards.
I look forward to grabbing some of those books as well. And just, I mean, that journey must have been an absolute whirlwind.
Oh, it still is. You know, it just feels like it's just beginning too. Like, it's been a whirlwind from all over the world. You know, awesome people like yourself, Steve, are just reaching out from all over the world and different things. But really, it's helped elevate our brands and who we are a little bit. But it's still a whirlwind for sure.
It's huge, fun, isn't it? And the fact we're talking is derived from social media and the power of branding and the ability to put things out there that create the assets that build these sorts of podcast conversations.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I actually kind of met my wife through Facebook, so I will say that, like, the power of this stuff is pretty powerful. Use it. Use this stuff. It's powerful.
So true. Okay, so if people are looking to try and find you, where's the best place to kind of get in touch with you and contact you?
Pretty much. I mean, my Instagram handle's Matt Smith Pueblo, LinkedIn, Matt Smith Pueblo, Facebook's Matt Smith Dadpreneur, I think. You know, serialdadpreneur.com, snoozemattress.com. You know, we've got wakeuppueblo.com. You can find us on any of those platforms. All of those have their own individual Instagrams and Facebooks and stuff as well too. So
great stuff. And it's a question I always ask people that come onto this show. If there is one single piece of advice that you would put out there for anyone listening to this conversation, what would you be saying to them?
You know, I would say that there's a lot of people out there that'll challenge you to chase your dreams and don't stop until you get it, and just do it. You know, one thing I tell everybody when they ask me, like, what do I do? And I always just say, just do it. Get out there and put yourself out there and do it. That's the most important thing. That's the hardest thing. But beyond that, one thing that I really preach to as many people, and I know you have this in common, Steve, is family first. You know, 100%. Too many people try to drive to make more money and get a jet and get a building and get a taller building and get a taller building and then get whatever it may be. But don't forget your family and protect your family. And that, to me, is what life is all about. Making the memories with your family, creating joy for your children. And if you don't have children, those family relationships, protect those. Those are the most important things, and you can't buy that. So take care of those relationships, take care of your family, and everything else it'll follow, and enjoy the ride, because it's a beautiful ride and none of us will get out of here alive. So enjoy that and make as many memories as you can make, baby.
That is true wealth, isn't it? Family and everything around you.
100%. That's Matt, what it's about.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
You as well. Thank you for having me, Steve. This has been awesome. Best of luck to you in all your future adventures. There's no doubt you're going to change the world. I just feel it every time I talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.